Hi everyone, it's April 10th, 2024. Just thought I'd make another video. I have a lot of good ideas I think to talk about, but they're kind of random and scattered all over the place. I've been a renovationist Christian since I announced I've been one since March 24th, 2024, so a couple weeks in. I have started wearing my hammer. I got this one here, so I bought like these 5 hammer pins. And I have cut paint, and I can color them so they go with the outfit that I'm wearing that day. I have a standard one that's on a jacket that I'm wearing all the time. So that's, and if people ask about it, it gives me an avenue to be able to talk about, I'm a renovationist Christian. I'm trying to find some way to match up Christianity with all the available evidence. Or, a renovationist, I'm coming to this understanding, to be a renovator. Philosophically, I'm trying to invent this idea now, but to be a renovator is to someone who looks at an old way of doing things or an old way of thinking about things and tries to use the best of it by creating a new way to think about things or a new approach to things that's using all of the available evidence. So you're definitely allowed to look at an old religious system and say, that produced a lot of good because people did this and that. And so you try to use that as evidence to create something new based upon new understandings of things. So a couple things I want to say. If you've been following my logic, and it's hard to follow my logic, I do believe that there's an all-loving God, right? And the way our all-loving God brought the universe into existence, I have no proof. I can't know. I'm going to accept that he exists. I'm an agnostic. I don't know if God exists, but I'm going to accept that God does exist. Just like I accept the idea of that triangles exist. I mean, no triangle. You've never seen a triangle, right? But you've used the word triangle to describe things that you see. And so the idea that the universe had to get started somehow, was by some all-powerful being that was capable of doing that. So I'm going to say that all-powerful being is all-loving, and it's outside of creation. It's not something that I can perceive, but it's to hold that idea in your mind that there is an all-loving God puts a nice boundary and constraint on your thinking, so that you can organize your thinking better and understand what you should do. And here's another way to think about. If you accept the existence of an all-loving God and you allow that to impact your behavior in a positive way, then that's all that's required to be a Christian. I don't care what anybody else tells you. I'm telling you that. That's all that's required to be a Christian. And so what would be the same as, isomorphic as a word for it, what would be the same as believing in an all-loving God? Well, trying to make decisions in light of the perspective of everyone else that has ever lived, is currently living, or might live in the future. If you think that way and trying to maximize the good or minimize the damage that's being done to all other people, past, present, and future, then that's the same as believing, accepting the existence of an all-loving God. I mean, that's the same thing, I think, I don't see how it'd be any different. So I just think it's good to hold that idea in your mind. Have this belief in all-loving God. Allow it to affect your behavior in a positive way. And if you want to say, therefore, you're a Christian because you're doing that, then you're certainly allowed to. And this can just lead to you'll drink less, you'll exercise more, you'll care about your neighbor a little bit more. All the things that we want people to do, obviously. But not do it because they're trying to atone for the original sin of man, anyway, we'll get to that. So it appears that our God, using the best of available evidence, it appears that God triggered the universe into existence 13.8 billion years ago with the Big Bang. There is a computational evidence that if you start with initial underlying initial conditions with very simple computational rule, the system moving forward is time. Do you follow me? Then you could do all the possible underlying rules with all the possible time moving forward, and every different universe that can come into existence. This guy, Stephen Wolfram, has this vision. He talks about it, and he watches TED Talk videos. Branchial spacing, things of that sort. where all the different, many initial conditions and computations produce universes that are not interesting, boring, that don't do anything, don't have observers like us looking into the universe. But we are looking into this universe. You follow me? And so we have come into existence. And I would argue to you that God does not know what we're going to do. I've said this many times. I don't think God knows what we're going to do. He's watching us in wonder, waiting to see what happens. And you say, wait a minute, that can't be true. God's outside of time. Oh, is he? How do you know God's outside of time? I don't even know if God's there in the first place, but it's saying that he is. What if time is God? What if time is divine energy? And time pushing this universe forward. At any minute, he can withhold that energy and stop this world if he wanted to. But he has decided to let this one play itself out. In light of all of the evil that's ever existed in this world, he has allowed it to play itself out. And so that's how you try to think about it. So I hear the argument all the time, well, God is outside of time. Well, how do I know God is outside of time? Maybe time is God. Time is God's action upon this world itself. Time itself is of God. Then how can God be outside of himself? And I would argue to you that no, maybe God cannot be outside of himself. In the same way, can an all-powerful God make a rock he can't lift? It's the same problem. You know what I mean? So, the existence of an all-powerful, all-knowing, all-living God, and then you deal with the attributes, those three attributes, when they conflict and they create, incoherence, you synthesize them until they're no longer incoherent. And then I'm able to, there's nothing in this world that I see. I've written this. There's nothing in the world I see that's inconsistent with the existence of an all-loving God. And so there was something else I wanted to point out to you, that it does appear that the laws of physics that as we understand them, and the laws of physics are just out products of, you play John Conway's The Game of Life from 1970, but the laws of physics are just out products of this initial underlying rules, with the computation of time pushing the universe forward 13.8 billion years, and then pockets of stability come into existence. We human beings, all the laws of physics are necessary byproducts of this computational process. And so therefore, none of the miracles of any old religion are true. They're all fabricated. They're all made up. Now, fabricated could be too strong a word. Maybe when somebody wrote that Jesus, multiplied the fishes and loaves, which is, of course, not possible because it violates the laws of conservation of matter. And God, I just hold as an axiom in my mind, God never violates the laws of physics in this world. He just chooses never to do it. He's letting this world play itself out. He's watching it. I don't think he ever intervenes in this world. Maybe he does, but I don't think he ever. I think it's very plausible to say that he's never intervened in this world. Because every time you think God has intervened in your life or intervened in this world in some positive way, I guess when God intervenes, it's positive. And every time that you think that that's happened, there's always another explanation for it. Why isn't it the alternative explanation? I'm not saying God ain't there. He might be. But he doesn't, affect this. So it's sort of like it's, this is deism on steroids, kind of an argument. The old founding fathers of America were deists. They believed God set the world into motion and it's ticking forward, and he's completely indifferent to it. No, who said he's indifferent? God could be very, very, very interested in what's happening in this world. And it could be using things that are happening in this world and other universes in ways that we can't fathom. And who knows? I don't know. So I don't think the law, there was ever a violation of laws of physics. The resurrection of Jesus wasn't true. And this is the biggest problem I have with people on the internet. I'm watching these, and I have real problems with the atheists too. And I want to talk about them in a minute. Real problems with the atheists. I have real problems with guys like David Wood or other people who are arguing against this religion in favor of this religion, apologists. I have real problems with them because, if I sit there and say to you, I believe Jesus was resurrected, it gives you permission to believe, that Moses parted the Red Sea, or it gives you permission to believe that Muhammad did these various miracles, or it gives you permission. It's sort of like, it's clearly absurd. Those things didn't happen. Any of those miracles. They violate the laws of physics. They violate the laws of biology. So they just didn't occur. Doesn't mean the person who wrote about the multiplication of fishes and loaves, and my mind races so much I forget what I'm saying half the time, doesn't mean that that guy was trying to lie when he wrote it. I don't know what he was trying to do when he wrote it. There's some kind of allegory about the 12 tribes are gathered up or something. There's all kinds of things he might have been trying to do, but it's been lost to time. There's probably like a handful of scholars out there that really know what the point behind that was, and their voices are lost in the wilderness. Nobody knows what they, and so that's why, again, my basic teaching is I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying it can be good to read the Bible in light of all modern scholarship so that you can untangle the true from the false and the interesting from the uninteresting. And of course, everyone should read the Bible, the whole world over. Why? Because, it helps to explain movies you watch. Why is that reference in there? Why is that idea in there? Why do people think this way? Because, if you read the Bible, it encourages people to think in given ways. And so, I'm going to talk about some of the other religions, well, particularly evil ones. There's like Satanism, and you have that Santa Muerte religion that, if you ever watched the movie Breaking Bad, the two evil assassin guys were crawling on the ground to this, Grim Reaper statue that's like dressed like a woman. This is why those religions can have staying power, in my opinion. A lot of those religions have the same, because if somebody could focus in their mind and say it with a lot of emphasis to themselves, I will worship you, Satan, or I will worship you, Santa Muerte, or you know what I mean? Just like somebody could do that with Jesus and God, which usually leads to much better outcomes for themselves and for other people. But not always. Some people can wind themselves in weird cults and trapped into certain things. But if somebody who puts their full heart into that I think what happens with the Santa Muerte thing in Mexico, which is obviously a sinister religion, you shouldn't want to do anything and have any parts of it. But if a person puts their heart into that religion, and the next thing you know, they're caught by the Mexican police, and when they were supposed to get 20 years in prison, they only get 5 years in prison, or they're set free. They were able to beat the charges, and it's because I gave my heart over Santa Muerte. You know what I mean? And the same thing I'm sure happens with Satanism. You give your heart over to Satan, the next thing you know, it was easy for you to steal that $1,000 and see what Satan did for me. You know what I mean? And, the fact remains is that you would have seen that $1,000 there and you wouldn't have stolen it. But now that you gave your heart over to Satan, well, it makes it much easier to steal that $1,000. Satan didn't arrange for that situation to happen, did not tell the security guard to walk the wrong way at the right moment so that you were able to grab that money. No, that's not what happened. You just got lucky. For every time that somebody gets away with something and thinks it was because they had Satan's help, the very next person thinks they're trying to get away with something, they wind up in prison or they wind up with horrible things happening to them. So it's just a matter of statistical outcome. Throw the coin up in the air and you see which one's going to happen. Don't all of the ancient religions and all of those old cults and the current cults and all that stuff, they're all something that you really, really, really should just walk away from with a lot of enthusiasm, unless you have some evidence that you should work with it, and that would be obviously true with the more modern mainstream religions. When you look at Catholicism, Islam, you look at Judaism, these things. Sure, they have stories about miracles in there that must be false. But they do offer viable ways of... See, here's one of the problems. Loyalty. If a Catholic priest gave me a phone call and say, hey, Paul, I need you to do something for me, I'd be like, yeah, sure, Father, what do you need? You know what I mean? I'm going to be loyal to the Catholic Church to the day I die. I love the Catholic Church. I don't believe a word of the theology of it because my reason has finally been able to get to the point where I see beyond it to something better, to something deeper. We don't live in a fallen world. We live in an emergent world, and we can clearly see the process, that how we came into existence. And the only clear explanation for our existence is that there's an all-loving God that's watching this world happen, has decided not to cancel it. You know what I'm saying? I imagine there were other worlds that came into existence where it was like, ugh, he probably didn't want any parts of that and just canceled that world. You know what I'm saying? But he's letting ours go. In light of all the evils that you can think of, in light of all the pains, because there's so much beauty to it. There's so many, there's so many mental exercises, and I've talked about this in the past, that I could run you through. And you would ultimately be like, yeah, I like this world. So many people feel that way. And if somebody really doesn't feel that way, there's always suicide, there's always death, there's always a lot of pain pills. I mean, there's ways to get out of it, to get out of this world. And so, that's a dark and ugly thing to have to say, but it's part of my theodicy, my justification of the goodness of God in light of the pain and suffering that exists in this world. The factors remain, there's a limit to pain and suffering. And if you suddenly were outside this world, you had died and you were outside this world and you were able to look back into this world and you would be like, okay, would you like to try life again? Randomize who you're going to be. You were, this time you were a powerful, person living here, and next time around, who knows what you'll be? Maybe you'll be a servant. Maybe you'll be this. Maybe you'll be that. Would you want to randomly take an opportunity to come back in this world and give life another try, and not have the awareness of what you were the last time? I'm not saying I believe in reincarnation, but I think reincarnation offers a very interesting solution to the God's all-lovingness in light of this world. And I'd be like, most people are like, yeah, we'd like another shot at it, like another shot at life. You know what I mean? And so it's like, that all the more reason why God must be like, sometimes he's like looking at this world and like, I wish I could put an end to it, but he just doesn't do that. So what about spiritual and physical discipline? See, this is one of the greatest things that religion can sometimes offer us, is it offers us a certain discipline. And for me right now, I don't go to church. I don't do any of that. I don't know any spiritual exercises. I don't do enough physical exercise, but I'm doing okay. I do some physical exercise. My point is, my point is the way I look at life right now, I just work. I just work, and that I don't need to pray. I don't need to meditate. I don't need to do all that stuff, but I've done that stuff in the past. And like the rosary, for example, I think the rosary can be good for someone, but don't listen to what the church says about the rosary. You have to pray on the rosary, meditating on these mysteries. Don't meditate on these mysteries. If you got to sit there and play the rosary, think about your own mom and what she might need. Think about your own kids. Think about, how you wish your son or daughter could be like a Jesus. So, think about concrete things that really matter to you, that are important for you to think about, so that your time isn't wasted trying to think about, did the Immaculate Conception really happen? Was Jesus really born of a virgin? I wonder how that could have been. I guess it would have been kind of neat for the whole... Don't do that. It's stupid to do that, because the laws of physics and the laws of biology have never been violated. Never in this world. Hold that axiom firm in your mind. Hold that idea firm in your mind, and you will do much better. Everything that we experience can be explained. Everything that we experience in life can be explained with the better models of reality, about models of mathematics and statistics, the models that we get from biology about how our brains actually work, human evolutionary development, things of that sort. They're just an awful lot better. I don't know. I think, so that's it. Renovation is Christianity. I don't know what the future has to bring. I'm not trying to create a cult. I'm not trying to be the leader of something. I guess I'm trying to be a leader of something, but it's not to make money. It's not to do anything like that. I'll keep making videos and keep just talking the truth as best as I can do so. At some point, I also want to get current, where I talk about like Donald Trump, but Joe Biden, talk about actual economic policy, how much corruption really is in this world, whether, how to change the Constitution and make things better. I got all kinds of like ideas of that sort. If I ever start going to church again, I'm tempted this old idea of when I wanted to preach about Jesus all the time, because Jesus, I felt like belief in Jesus did so much good for me, and it certainly did, but it also did some bad things for me. And because the real point is, I'm not dogging a belief in Jesus or dogging belief in Christianity, but ultimately I'm saying you have to believe in what's true, what is actually true about the world. And the more that you can study math, science, psychology, brain science, economics, evolution, physics, etc. The more that you study the actual world and what we actually know to be true about it, and using the best of available evidence to understand yourself, is way better than using some old model that was using inferior information. So that's obviously true. But the atheists, there's something I wanted to say about those guys. These guys want to burn the house down. That's a problem. Wherever I look, I see a lot of beautiful churches with a lot of hardworking men and women that are, assigned to those churches to offer Sunday services and to do. I mean, come on. There's got to be a way you can't just say all that, close it all down. People need a place to go, to be with the community, to get their weddings, to be buried. I mean, you don't want to come to me and have me I'm not a minister. I do something else with my life. I am definitely a religious teacher. And you could say that I'm one that's not good, but I think I'm a great religious teacher. But I don't think I'd be a good minister because I don't have the experience of one. Can you imagine some priest that's been working 30 years and has done thousands of funerals? That's the guy I want to run my funeral because he understands how to do that stuff. You understand what I mean? And so something like that. There's so much to say. I don't know what the future has to bring for what I'm trying to do. I could create a pamphlet and wear some kind of distinctive clothing. I mean, I got my little hammer, right? But I could always, wear a prophet robe or something like that, and just walk around and go to churches and give out pamphlets where I try to jostle people's theological understanding so that they can get to work on learning things that are better for them to learn, and instead of constantly trying to take what they see in the world and trying to refashion what they see in the world so that it fits this book or fits these sets of ideas. No. Take a look at the world and then start to fashion ideas with what you see in the world, and so I got the title. I'm taking the title for myself. It's Renovationist Christian. I seek to renovate theology so that it's something that's better for people. In light of having been a Christian my whole life, I still am a Christian. I mean, the idea of trying to do good for others. If you took me back 25 years ago, I would have made the mistake of wanting you to believe in the resurrection because that's what a good Christian is. Did you hear the good news? We've defeated death. Satan no longer has a hold on us because, you know what I mean? And, it has a certain majesty to it. It's not right, though. There's a better one. It's study your math, man. Study your brain science. Think more clearly about what's actually true in the world, and think more clearly about what's actually true in the world. And we do so much better. So I don't know what comes next, but I got a couple jobs I'm working, and I don't think I'm ever going to stop. If I could become smoother in the way I talk and getting my ideas out better, I'll take speaking engagements or come to Bible studies and, throw down at the Bible study and, show some beautiful stuff that's in the Bible, but show why some stuff, needs to be changed or gotten rid of. All right. I guess that's about it for tonight. I had a whole bunch of other ideas. This video didn't go as well as I wanted it to. I love you all. Be good.